Hello everybody, it's Jackie Smurden and I'm here in Dunnock Studio and we're going to try and do some simple sketches of dandelion seed heads. My garden's full of them at the moment and the goldfinches are eating them for fun. So they're a really good source of food for some local wild birds. They're interesting because when you pick one, if you're lucky, you might manage to keep it for about 30 seconds before it blows away. But capturing one of these, because it's so see-through, is an interesting concept, but I think I've found some simple techniques for you to try at home. So let's get into it. I'm starting with a block of cold pressed 25% recycled cotton, and this block will help it to stop buckling and to save me space not having to tape it down. And I've got some colours here. I've got lemon yellow, I've got a nice mid green, some lighter green because I've just added some yellow into it, and over here we've got a very nice amethyst this is from Jackman's art, and I thought we'd try that one out just to see what it's like. Now I'm going to use a fairly big brush just to get some clean water and dampen the block down. You can use anything really, a sponge, whatever you like. Spray bottle, I might have just slightly overdone that, but it's on a block so it doesn't matter what it does, how it moves, it will dry reasonably flat because it's gummed all the way round. The negative to a block is I can't get on with the next one underneath until this one's dry and finished, so that's your negative. So I'm going to do a very simple design, but I'm going to try and keep a diagonal going on here. So this is an interesting one because I want some light areas. I also need some dark areas because I'm going to lift out some shapes, and if I have it all lemon yellow right through the middle, the lift out isn't really going to work because you won't be able to see the actual colour. So this is all damp, so I'm just pulling some of the greens into the corners here, and it won't be exactly as I planned, they never are. So then I've got a bit more of that lemon, just bring that in there. So now I'm going to make sure I've got a brush that I haven't used in the green, and just if I'm not sure, just tap it. There we go, I've used that in the amethyst. And make sure I've got everything ready to hand, which I probably haven't. And now I'm going to start putting this colour in, which of course if it merges with the green or the yellow, we are going to get a little bit of grey, something similar going on. So have I made the right choice? Well, only the time of getting this on and seeing what it's like in the end will tell. So now I can throw some more green around this. As you can see, I'm not being very careful. Because amethyst, as you can see, is a blue violet, that means it's got some red in it. And red and green are opposites, therefore you're getting a little bit of greying going on here. You might just be able to see that. But already my paper has got a bit static, a bit hard, no idea what's going on here. It's not what I wanted at all. So just get this trusty spray bottle, and I'm going to get some bleeding, I'm going to get some grey, but sometimes that makes for a nice painting. So I've just sprayed it, loosened it up, got it to move a little bit. Let's try and get rid of that big blob in the middle there. I'm trying to get a diagonal composition of some sort here. I've got the grey being made where the amethyst is mixing with the lemon, and that's not too bad, I don't mind that. Keep a light area up here as if there's light coming down. Move it around wherever you think it needs to go. By doing this you can make some interesting patterns, and you haven't got full control. So greyed areas like this can suddenly become wonderful shadow areas in your painting. Is that perfect? By no means. Am I happy with it? Yes. It's time to let it just settle slightly. it's a square format, which can cause problems. It's not a problem, but it's one of those things, if your composition isn't quite working, it can sometimes be, because it's quite tricky on a square one, to get it right. So those drips going down there, just need to take those off so we don't get any run backs. I don't mind run backs, but it's not about the run backs on this. So we've got it's almost like two diagonals going on there. So at this point I'm going to grab a small jam jar lid, the sort of jam jars you get when you go to a cafe and you wonder what they do with all those jam jar lids and bottles. I hope they recycle them. And this one is a slightly bigger one that's off of actually a reusable milk bottle. We have a local farm near us where we can go and collect unpasteurised milk. Oh, my goodness, that's shocked everybody. It's very nice milk. So whilst this is still damp, I've now got to move fairly fast. I've doubled over my kitchen roll and I'm just going to, oops, this is where you go all fumble fingered. Do this. There we go, and you just twist it to make a nice tight drum on the top. And then I'm going into the really, really wet bit just to see what happens there. Hold it on for a little while. There, it's all on there. And I'm just going to use the same one, which means I'm not taking off quite so much colour, and I might be putting colour back on, but that's worked quite well. Now I'm going to unravel this, get a completely new clean bit of towel, but this time I'm only going to use a single layer. Let's see what happens. Twist it again, and maybe an overlap is a good idea. This has just run back in slightly because the paint is still very wet, so it's just oozing back in, which is actually giving it a really soft look. Just going to switch to a larger lid, this one, and pop that in my towel like so. There we go, tight as a drum around the edges, and let's go in down here. There we go. Got some interesting speckling going on because of the pattern on the kitchen towel, and two, the texture on the paper. So you can use any lid you like. The nice thing about a lid like this, it's got a little ridge in it, so this outside bit hits harder on the paper than the rim, than the indent does. So you get a nice little edge to it. So I've got 4 on here at the moment. So as we know, in most things, art and design and gardening, and well, quite a few things actually, natural sequences, is you need an odd number. So let's pop one up here into the light. And there we go. So I will probably stop there with the lift outs with the lids, and I will do more when it's drier. While it's damp, we can use a cocktail stick or something similar, if you like, just to scratch in suggestions of stems. Don't overthink this, you don't want them to be specifically this way, that way. Just a hint of them works really well. And the good old cotton bud could work. Let's see. No, it would be more about things in the distance. This might still be too wet. So I'm just using that to lift out some background shapes. Let's see if I can get any more. That's a bit dry there. Where it's damp, it still works quite well. And you're just hinting at these going off into the distance. It's just an illusion. There's a song there. And there we go. So now I would let that dry completely. And in case any of you have wondered what the slight strange noise in the background is, because there is a noise in the background, it's my rescue cat who's come to join us in the studio. She's called Latte. She's 11 years old nearly, and she does love being around people. So future videos may include a few rolls on the mat and maybe some meows in the background, so I do apologise. Right, let's let that dry. It's not quite dry, but I thought I'd just show you another technique. This is an angle shader brush. You can use any stiff nylon-ish brush. You don't have to buy a specific shape one like this. And what I would do is just get some clean water, pop this brush in and squeeze the water out. So I'm not putting it on a towel, I'm just squeezing the water out. And then you can use it to lift out along a stem like that. It's always a good idea just to pop a towel in afterwards so that you don't end up with it leaching away. So I'm going to do exactly the same thing again, squeeze it out, and maybe we'll have one extra width on this one. You will find out some colours are harder to lift than others. So when you go over it more than once or twice, then always clean your brush in between. There we go. So it just gives that hint, doesn't it, of stems going on. This is going to be a very loose sketch. We're not going to go into great detail here, but having that bit there can just help emphasise the stems a little bit. So have as much or as few of these as you like, or none at all. It's your choice. So this is relatively dry, and I just wanted to show you what you could possibly use to add a little bit of detail in the background. If you have got one of these, a circle stencil, then you can go and grab it. If you haven't, just watch and see if you like the style. If you don't like the style, there's no point you going to buy one of these. So I'm going to just, this area here is quite dark and it's nice because it's setting off. These have dried and I really like them. But say for instance I wanted just to knock something in there slightly smaller than what we have been doing. Now I can use a normal piece of sponge. This sponge, you don't have to buy them from art shops, just buy a sponge and cut it up. So a normal sponge, let's just gently rub it into that circle. I did squeeze it out well, so you really don't want to be leaving loads of water through this. Get your towel straight away, dab in the hole, and then dab in again when you've taken it off. You can just see a nice little hint there. And if I go slightly, so let's try a small one over here. So the smaller ones are quite hard to get at with a soft sponge. So try Magic Eraser, also known as household cleaning sponges. They are vicious if you scrub with them, so be gentle on your paper. If you've got normal workhorse sort of cellulose paper, if you work too hard, you'll take the surface off. Some papers are a bit more forgiving, but this is designed, basically it's a scouring sponge, and if you go at it really hard, it will tear your paper apart. But it's really useful for going in a space like that big to lift out a little highlight like that. So can you see how much brighter that is than the first one done with the other sponge? So if that one needed to be a bit lighter, I could go back in, make sure my sponge is clean, squeezed right out, holding my stencil and just working back into that one very gently. It's quite hard to tell how much pressure to put on. When you think you've got enough off it comes. So that's a little bit brighter now. You get the idea. This is also a technique for using as a bokeh in the background. So let's see what we can do up here in this bright yellow area. You can probably see there's some dots going on here and there. Well, they're where I accidentally sprinkled some water. So sometimes dropping some water on your painting can actually do a lot of good. Because you get this really nice hazy flower appearance. They're really good for flower meadows. Sprinkle some water on with a toothbrush or something like that. So I'm being quite careful. Don't really know how much of that. It looks a bit bright. It's harder to tell with the yellow colours. What's that look like? Very, very subtle. Hopefully you can just about see that. So let's overlap that with another one, a bigger one. And if your sponge isn't clean, you're going to transfer, so just be careful. There we go. That's working quite well. You can see it's leading this flower off, which is going to go out of your page, out of your picture. So again, that's probably a nice point just to stop and think. Do you need anything? Do you need to obliterate something? So this stem is not working very well for me. So I'm going to obliterate it a little bit by taking a softer sponge so I don't get quite a definite edge. Actually, I'm going to go up a size and overlap both those. So you can adjust things. You could do a lot of work on this picture, but I think it works quite well as a simple one, really. There we go, that's just sort of taken the emphasis off of those lines there. But as you work through a picture, you realise you now need to do something else somewhere else to offset what you just did. And this is what artists will tell you is you paint your picture, you paint the painting, you don't paint the reference, you don't follow the reference so that you're literally copying a photograph. You use the photograph to start you off. Then you go with what your painting needs. Hopefully that makes sense. It's no good just slavishly copying a photograph if it isn't working for your painting. So when you put something on, you might need to add something else on. So again, this one here is not working, so I'm going to actually go quite big there. It's going to go out of my picture frame. Might be too much, but it looks quite nice. We probably need some small ones over in this area. You get the idea, is keep looking at your picture, think I've made a random background which I had very little control over. Now where do I want my flower shapes? Where do I want this to look nice? Do I want it there? Do I want it there? These are your choices that you make, and when you decide where they're going to go, just go with it. You're not doing it wrong or right, it's just your choice. So you get an effect going on, which, yeah, that's working quite well now. I'm probably going to stop because I'm going to overdo it. And Latte the cat is now back at the door asking to come back in, so I best stop. I've just popped a little mount round it just so we can get a feel of what it's looking like. I can see I've got a little speck of some colour here which I'll lift off with a damp brush in a little while, or even take off another circle just to remove it. You can see that there, it's just drawing your eye up there. Let's just zoom in so you can see the texture inside these as opposed to inside these. This paint, the amethyst, has really split very nicely. Just changing to a different shot here. So this is the amethyst you can see on that painting. This is the Daniel Smith amethyst, which has got a beautiful mica finish to it, but is a lot grayer in colour. And then there's just swatching out your different water levels to get your tonal values with them. So using the same colour that I used on the one I've just shown you, but with no green, this is a little bit more detail on it. And there was masking fluid under these, but I feel that they're too stuck on. I don't particularly like that. I wouldn't do that again. Great thing about little mounts is you can pick out and see if there's anything in your picture that you might like to take and make a smaller picture of. It's quite a nice thing to do. Is there anything in there? That looks quite nice. You could even turn it round, see if anything's working, rather than the whole picture. That is the beauty of watercolour. You can literally tear it apart if you want to, make it into small pieces. So let's just have a look at these two. So this one is completely done on this side with the stencil. So you can see there it's quite a harsh round edge if you go for the big size circles. And also I've used this pink here, it's a magenta, a quin magenta, which is quite a flat colour. I feel if you compare that to this one, which has got all sorts going on in the background with those lovely granulation effects. This is just practice paper, but for me the quin is flat, not particularly interesting, and these do not look like dandelions. I think this is more like an echinacea appearing here, but again you could crop right in, see if there's anything you want to take forward with it. It looks like a planetary system now, doesn't it? So you get the idea. And then this one was really interesting because I popped on the background here a very pale wash of a beautiful colour called Petal Shadow by Jackson's Art again. That's the small 5mm version. I love this colour, but for this particular background I didn't do it strongly enough, and you can see it's very pale. I can see that the bottle top lift off has worked because I've got a slightly paler edge, but you won't be able to see that because it's so subtle, it's almost invisible. And I've gone back in and negatively painted round them, but you can see it's not really working. It's a bit harsh, they look cut out. Of course I can do lots more work on these, and that might be exactly what I do, but for me they're already cut out, not quite working, and these are already not working because they're too perfect. Whereas the ones that we've got here, and also back to this one, where they've got a nice bit of subtlety going on inside them, and we've embellished the outside. If you decide to go for the greens and the yellows, here's another one that I've just I haven't completed it, I've yet to finish this one. Again, if I just zoom in down here, can you see the subtlety there? Where the middle is definitely got more going on. If I focus on this one a little bit more. Oh, too much. There we go. And all of that detail and interest is purely a paper towel wrapped around a bottle top. And to prove the point, there's a bottle top that fits over that, and bottle top, and here's the jam jar top that fits over these, wrapped in tissue. And again, if I just zoom out, and this one fits that one there. So you can see that's all I've used. I haven't embellished them in any way, but if you wish to carry on and embellish them, just watch the following video and then you can follow me and we'll see about adding a bit more detail. However, having said that, you might wish to stop right there with a subtle abstracty picture of some dandelions and celebrate the fact that they're in your garden, spreading their seeds, creating weeds everywhere, but goldfinches love them, and goldfinches are everywhere in our garden. So if you have dandelions, celebrate them, and don't forget you can eat the leaves. Wash them first. So that's the first part of this series of 2. I hope you found it useful. You might want to stop right there. You might want to keep your background loose, your flowers simple and stylistic, and if that's how you feel, stop there. If you want to add a few more details, I'm going to just carry on the next video and show you just a couple of different ways that I could add some detail you might like to try. If you don't want to add the detail, then maybe have a watch and see if you can grab some ideas off of it for other paintings. So thanks so much for watching. Really hope you enjoyed that part, and we'll see what you want to do next. Take care, bye for now, and happy painting. See you on the next video. Bye.